Hello everyone, my name is Venkat. I am studying BCA in ICCA College at Davangere. Today let us discuss about the topics of data, database and the database managing system. First, let us go through the introduction of data and database. First, let us see what the meaning of data. Data is an unprocessed raw fact and figure which may or may not have meaning. Means data is something which is raw fact or figures. It contains raw fact or figures and it may or may not be meaningful. And sole data is not sufficient to make any decisions, and understanding data is difficult. And this is about data, and let us know about the information. It is nothing but it is a processed form of data and it has a particular meaning and it also has a purpose. And information is sufficient to make and take any decisions. This is the difference and meaning about the data and information. Let us know about the database. Database is nothing but the collection of interrelated data, and this is about database. And let us see about the DBMS. First, if we know about database, then it is easy to know about the database managing system. Database is nothing but the collection of interrelated data, and DBMS is a system which helps us to manage that collected data in an efficient and convenient way. It helps us to manage the data. Okay, if we see another meaning of database managing system, it is nothing but a database managing system is a system software. It helps for creating and managing the database in an efficient and convenient way, and it also allows the users to create, access and update, delete the data that is present in the database. Okay, it helps us to perform certain operations like creating, accessing and updating and deleting the data that is present in the database. Let us know about the languages of DBMS. First, let us discuss about the types that are present in the DBMS languages. First one is data definition language. Second one is data manipulation language. Third one is data control language, and fourth to last one is a transaction control language. First, let us see one by one. Let us discuss about the data definition language. Actually, the purpose of data definition language is to create the framework and the structure of the database. If we have to organize the data into the database, then a particular structure and the framework is necessary. That particular activity is done by the data definition language. It helps us to create a structure or framework for the database. This is about database, and let us see the operations and the statements that are performed in the data definition language. First of all, here is a create, alter, drop and finally rename. Let us see one by one. Create. It helps us to create a new database or a new object. Object or database which may include index, column or the row. This is about create. Then alter. Alter means it changes the structure of the database or the object. What we have taken before that we created in the this operation by create operation, what we have created the database. In the alter operation we can make changes in that structure. Okay, then let's come to drop. If we see about it, it is nothing but the whatever we created the object or the database here we altered the database structure and the framework. Here it helps us to delete that structure. This is the function of drop. Then if we come to the rename, it helps us to rename the existing database or the existing object. This is about data definition language. Here it is includes create, alter, drop and finally the rename. Now let us come to the data manipulation language. It is also known as DML. If we come to this helps us to access and manipulate the data which we have stored in the database earlier. It helps us to manipulate or alter the data. This is about DML. Let us see the operations that are involved in the DML. Here first one is insert, update, delete and select. Let us see one by one. Update means it is a function which helps us to add new data into the existing database table or whatever database object. It helps us to add new data into the existing database object. This is about insert. If we come to the update, it helps us to make changes or update any values into the database we have created earlier. In the data definition language, what we have created the database structure, it helps us to update the values into it. This is about the update. And if we come to the delete, it is a reverse of update. We can remove the values and the records that we have inserted into the database object, that we can remove here. It is a function of delete. Okay, if we come to the select, it helps us to access the data and view the data. Actually, its main function is to retrieve the data whatever we have stored in the database table. This is about data manipulation language. Here it comes insert, update, delete, and finally the select. If we go to the data control language, here it controls the permissions that we have given or taken to the database system. Its main function is to provide or retrieve the permission that has given to the users. It involves grant and revoke. Grant means it gives an user access to the database, means it provides permission to the user to access the database. Revoke means retrieve the permission which had earlier given to the user. We can revoke it, means we can remove the permission of the user's access. It's about the data control language. Finally, if we come to the transaction control language, it involves a controlling of transaction, means creating save point or rollbacking into the saved point and carrying a transaction. These are the functions that are involved in the transaction control language. Let us see one by one. First, let us see about commit. Commit means it is like a save button. Actually, it carries out a transaction. Okay, this is about commit. It helps to carry out a transaction, and if we go to the save point, it sets a point in a transaction to save, which means in the wholesale transaction, it helps us to set a point in the transaction, and at that particular point, the data will be, the point will be saved. And if we want to get back to the saved point earlier, by using the save point, we had earlier created a point to save in a transaction. If we have to go back to the saved point, then we have to use the rollback. It restores the transaction if any task failed to execute. This is about the rollback. We did see about commit, rollback, and save point. This is about the transaction control language. Let us summarize what we have discussed in this session. First of all, we saw the meaning of data, and then on we saw the information definition and some points regarding it, and we have discussed about the database and the database managing system, and we discussed in detail about the data definition language and the data manipulation language, data control language, and finally the transaction control language. This is about it. Thank you.